Hey Saksham, welcome to Concept and Coding. So guys, I'll tell you that Saksham currently working in Google, but he has recently joined. So he was working in couple of US startups before, and recently he messaged me that he has cracked Google. So that's where I got to know. And now today here we are. To be honest, I am also meeting Saksham for the first time. And when initially we uh, talk for the first time, I was literally like, "Hey, Saksham, which company you are in?" So I am at same page as you are. We are both knowing Saksham today. So now I would be speaking less and Saksham would be speaking more. So Saksham, welcome again.
Thank you, Shreyans, and all the audience. So basically, I will first briefly introduce myself. So my name is Saksham Sondi, and I have total about 5 years of experience in like software development field. So it's like I started my career with Samsung R&D, and after that I joined like basically switched to US based startups. Like I worked there for around 3 years as a backend software engineer. So it's been like mostly I worked on backend software engineering, Java. Like in Sam, while I was in Samsung, it was more related to embedded part. Like I was in RF, 4G, and 5G things. So yeah, it's like I have got it's been a good and roller coaster journey. Like having experience of both MNC and startup culture. So yeah, it's been a great journey, and obviously it's like I would say I'm blessed, and it's like hard work always pays. So that's kind of thing. How will I join Google? So yeah,
If
it's
you
been
are
good.
working in Google, definitely you're not lucky. Definitely there would be because I know that I have given Google interviews, so I know luck never works out. So you have to prepare really hard. Okay, so we'll come to that. So thanks for giving your background, man. So one thing I want to know that so you switched to Google like how many months you have been in Google now?
It's been about couple of months. Yeah.
Okay. How you have first bring a mindset that okay, now I need to change the company, then okay, I have to start preparation because what happened is let's say somebody who is left the preparation for 1 or 2 years. Now, how to start actually like so you might have also gone through that phase. Okay, now I have to change. Where to start? What to pick? So can we talk about a bit?
Correct. So I will just briefly touch upon the Google part first. So specific to Google being a dream company, it started in my first year of my college, like while I was in college. So I still remember I was basically there's a Google Summer of Code. So I prepared from that. Like started my preparation in the first year, and I went through YouTube videos like how people work in Google and all those things. So that was kind of a seed which was in put in my mind, got
Okay.
into my mind, which targeted Google. So yeah, and for that, after that, what I did was like specific to your question, if I'd say like I prepared for like college placements. I got into Samsung R&D. After that, I worked for in like Turbo is basically the name of the startup that I worked in. So they worked for around couple of years. But generally, what I see is like after 1.5 years, you get hold of the things that you're working on in a company. Then you're looking for new things, right? So either you can switch teams or you can switch companies. So that's the general trend that I see among people. So what I was like, okay, let's say it's a startup, so we generally do not have that much options like team
Mhm.
switching thing.
Seems correct.
So yeah, so the next thing I was like, okay, let's start preparing for switch. So yeah, while I was like in college, I prepared like while in Samsung R&D also prepared for startups. Like it was totally DSA SD1, so it's mostly DSA only, right? So I had about 1.5 years in gap between those actual preparation start. But generally, what my thinking have been like while I was in Turbo only, so it was like I used to go through books. Like I am kind of somebody would say nerd or something like that, but yeah. So I used to go through books, system design books. I still remember I joined a course just after joining the startup. It's like system design course in Geeks for Geeks. So it was like kind of I just wanted to understand how things work, like how all the problems are solved,
Huh.
because we just have experience implementing. but designing is a whole new thing, right? So yeah, I've gone through that, and after that I started reading about, if you remember, like both one is Alex Zhu book,
Mhm.
uh, and I used to read those books. It was kind of a casual thing. I was not preparing for that, let's say, switch. I just gone through like different concepts, and there is one head first books also that's really enjoying, like
Yeah,
head first
head
system
first,
design. Yeah, head first. Yeah.
head first design pattern.
So design patterns, and there is yeah, design patterns, and one more, there is object oriented analysis related to object oriented concepts. So it was like a journal casual thing that I used to do over weekends, or let's say I have some time, or that was the journal thing. But when I started preparing for interviews, I wasn't targeting for a particular company. My main strategy was, because I had some experience while I was switching from Samsung to startup. So if you target certain company, then it's like you get limited, and if you do not get the results, then obviously you are basically, your motivation goes down. So best is have a journal journey, that I have basically journal things, go through them, and then start giving interviews, right?
Like,
So
makes sense.
right, so that's the whole thing that I want to communicate. So yeah, now if I just deep down, like what, when I started, I found out like this for DSA specific thing, neat code, top 150 questions.
Correct.
So I practiced them. So that was the first thing that I did. Was, so while
So
practicing, the main
one doubt
strategy.
here.
So
So when
yeah,
you say that for DSA, when you practice those 150 questions, one DSA question, how much within how much time you generally solve? Medium.
generally when you start, so as a start, like after having 1.5 year or 2 years break, so it takes a lot of time. So that's the common thing. Like, so it's the same thing, right? For problem solving medium, it might take let's say 2 hours, 3 hours also. So that's not thing. But the main thing that I had was, I had to learn one thing, and if I'm not able to solve, then after, I used to limit myself with the time.
Hmm.
There was a timer option in lead code, I still remember. And if I'm not able to solve, then I went through the solution, implemented that. That's the one main thing. And another thing that actually played a very big role was go through the discuss section. So
Okay.
that is very important, right? So discuss section, various angles. We get to know various angles. Initially, when you start, it's like I usually do is like, there is a classification based on the topics. I pick
Correct.
easy ones so that I get some kind of confidence. And later on, I built on medium.
Makes sense.
I said like consistency matters a lot,
Consistency
because
matters.
consistency is the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember like when me and my friend used to prepare DSA because to be honest, after 9 years of experience, DSA is the something we pick very least. Like if we have time, we do something else, right? Even we have even sit to make one project also to solve some real world problem. But DSA is something which comes very last in the priority. Let's do trees,
Correct.
link list. Okay. But
Yeah.
whenever the interview comes in, then the priority changes. Now DSA comes first. And when every morning we sit like before office, 10 a.m. office start 9:30. We start at 7. Okay, let's pick one question for today. You will do it. I will do it. At night will come. Hey, have you done it? We said, I tried giving, but not happened. So consistency is something, and this. Okay, today 2 days we do. After that, before interview, how's your interview, man? DS around gone. So that's generally you're totally right. Consistency is something which has to be done no matter whether you're 8 years, 2 years, 5 years, doesn't matter. DSA is there. So pretty much I'm clear, like, okay, DSA, how you prepared, what's your strategy? So yeah, we can proceed.
I remember like for 2 months, like my strategy was, I had to prepare for DSA first. So that was the first thing. And after I'm done with DSA, I have to switch to system design also, because reading books and preparing for the interviews are different things. So that's the core of things. Because reading books basically gives you an idea of how things work, but preparing for interviews, you have to get into 1 hour, that particular slot. You have to solve the particular problem using the different angles that are involved. So when I was able to, like, let's say, if I remember, I solved around 80 or something questions, and then I switched to the system design preparation. And for the system design preparation, what I did was like I had friends, so he recommended me that educative thing, like educative course. So then I started reading.
Okay.
Alexu also I've read, but then I started reading. But there was question, then answer, question, answer. But after, let's say, if I remember, like 2 or 3 weeks, then I what I did was like I started to solve the problems by my own. But
Mhm.
I've just read them, question, answer. But when I started to solve the question, then I was like, okay, how can we do that? So solution is not similar, right? So as we are given the book, but the thing is, the whole thing I want to say is like when you practice, then only things
Correct.
begin to happen, right? If you just start reading question and answer, that won't help. Even like, here I remember I got to know about concept and coding regarding system design. So I was like, okay, let's go through it, and found it really helpful. I mean, because for the system design part, like how Shreyans explains is like initially I remember he started in Hindi, so I was like, okay, oh, it's like he's common language, so let's start discussing. And he discusses all the angles as in like as a friend, like as a good teacher. So that's how I basically got accustomed to him, like to you basically, yeah. So that was really good. So I like those videos, and I still remember you just had a roadmap,
Mhm.
and you were ticking on the as roadmap. And I think you decided on the roadmap in November, December, and you were ticking on this video. So I was kind of waiting for these videos. Okay, now this is done. Now this week this will done, because I was getting notified. I literally had notification on. So that was the thing. So I used to follow that as well. So yeah, that was like the system design. The whole thing I want to communicate is like the main thing is get to like read the question. Do not get to read the solution. Like
Mhm.
just think on the question. How can we solve it? But before that, we just need to know some kind of basics like load. What is load balancer? What is API server? Right? I mean, certain distributed system things. We need to know.
Correct.
After that, we need to get into the question. Like,
Yeah, that's
how
because
can we solve it?
this
How
is
can we solve it?
very true because HLD is system design is something which is like if you don't know consistent hashing in 30-minute round, you can't build consistent hashing of your own. Right? No matter how
Exactly.
hard you think, no matter how pro you are, in 30 minutes, those technology we cannot come up with if you don't know that. LLD is different. It's an object. You can think, okay, we can make something. DSA is different. We can think, solve the same question with different approach, you know. But if something is workable through load balancer, if you don't know that, how we will do that? So
Yeah,
this is
obviously.
where, so basic, as you mentioned, Saksham, like basics, we don't have to complete 100%. No, nothing can be complete 100% and then to come basics. At least then we will get some 10 confidence. Okay, what actually has to be done.
So like after that, like after 1 month of system design, I was like, let's go for interviews. So next part is interviews. So interviews, it's like the third point that I mentioned: consistency, hard work, and patience. So third point comes into work in this interview giving process, following up with the recruiters, then getting things arranged and all those things. So that I actually had an Excel sheet. So wherein I put in company and the result and the learnings. So that was the main bullet points. So I used to follow up, and I still have that Excel sheet wherein I have like around 30 companies which I interviewed for. So that was you like, okay.
And how you
So
get those
there
30
was,
companies? How you get those 30
so,
companies?
so basically, one is the referrals, LinkedIn community that you have, right?
Mhm.
So the second thing is like there's Insta hire, and what I did was like one strategy that I had was go through Insta hire, and Insta hire job posting. You get to know the name of the recruiter there, right? I searched for the name of the recruiter on LinkedIn, directly contacted, and while I contacted, so basically, if he or she accepts, then obviously directly reach out. So that's the one thing I did. And let's say if you, even if you contact 10 persons, out of 10, you get around 2 or 3 replies. So that in itself is good, right? So, I mean, it's kind of following up. It's the
Following up.
main thing. Second is referrals. Referrals also, if you want to have the third thing is LinkedIn jobs. There are a lot of LinkedIn jobs. So what I used to do was once there was job opening, I used to go to the person or the mutual connection that who is working, even if he or she doesn't know me. I used to contact and directly ask for referrals. So yeah, that's the main thing I do. Did like these three,
Got it.
four things. Yeah. Basically, apart from going through the interviews, like after you are prepared, you can basically go through like sites like mock interviews. Pramp is one of the best sites. I have actually practiced all the questions that are available on Pramp for DSA as well as design. And there are a couple of things that we get to know. One is obviously you practice in that particular time frame. The other thing, the people that you get along with. So there could be a chance that you are basically interviewing a person who is already working in a bank.
Okay.
So
So
that's
it's a
been my experience.
mock interview site.
Yeah, it's a mock interview site.
Okay.
Pramp,
So
that's the whole point.
so
Obviously,
in
and
your startup, what was the notice period?
2 months.
2 months.
2 months.
Is it put a hindrance in 2 months in your finding a new job?
I think no. 2 months is not a hindrance. Like it is negotiable also, but 2 months is not. Generally, some of our friends have 3 months, so that poses some hindrance. 2 months is not a hindrance, but yeah, some companies, some basically the startups are those like who say immediately you have to join immediately. So that case, I mean, you can play around with them.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the industry because
Correct.
they also do this. So it's kind of a mutual thing.
Cool. And anything else changes you have made in your resume, buddy?
Yeah, obviously, because I was not getting calls from Fang. So that was like I was interviewing for startups, mid-level companies. But for Fang, so I have friends who work in Fang, so they also interview. So what I did was like Fang's HRs that I have got to know is look for the main things in the resume, wherein one is the technologies, right? So other thing is the one is the technologies they look out for. Other thing is the leadership skills because for SG2 you require some kind of leadership or have you led a project like whole ownership of yours. So I mentioned all those things like bolded them so that they get to know like I have got that kind of experience where I've led the team into completion and how I've solved the problems because SD1 is totally implementation, SD2 is more of ownership and
Correct.
getting that particular product shipped.
Correct.
So yeah.
That's pretty much from my side, man. Anything else specific from your learning you want to say to those who are preparing? Some do's, don'ts, which you think or which you have noted down in your last 5, 6 months of preparation. So you can share, man. Like, but that's pretty much from my
Right.
side.
So, the main thing is like as I mentioned, the three things that I never removed from my whiteboard was consistency, hard work, and patience. I still have it on my board even after joining Google. So that plays a role in your life. Like it's if you have to achieve something, these three things are very important. And specific to DSA, I would say just take a resource. That's it could be another any kind of resource. That's a neat code and do all those questions and just don't do it. Try to think in different angles, right? Different angles, how you can solve the problems, and you can go through it, go through the solutions, discuss section. And obviously, if you have got a buddy with you who is preparing with you, then it's a very good thing
Yeah.
because that helps a lot. We are there to push each other. So yeah, I mean, for specific to Google, there's only DSA, and apart from DSA, if you have to manage work along with that, I would say let's say 1 or 2 hours would be sufficient in your working days, and weekends obviously you can work. So
Correct.
and it's very the journey of whole preparation. It's been very like let's say tiring, and it tests your patience. And I usually try to talk with my friends who work in fans like Google or Amazon, and they just said me one thing. I mean, you will ultimately get the results, and that enjoyment will basically overcome everything that you are feeling, right? So, and that's true.
That's true.
Even if it takes an year, 2 years, but when you are at that particular level, you will say, okay, all that was worth it. So that's the whole thing. Remember this thing. You can write it and somewhere. So yeah, that's the whole thing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, like enjoy life. It's
Yeah.
not take too much tension. It's just that you have to be consistent. That's it.
Correct, correct. Last request, Saksham, can I put your LinkedIn profile in the description section? If anybody reach out to you and if you have time, you can reply to them if they have any questions based on that podcast.
Sure. I can reply to them, but replies would like it. Here also you will have to be patient. I will try to reply, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
you can share it.
definitely. Like they can put your question based on your bandwidth. You can check and reply. Like if maybe some referrals, some questions in your learning, or maybe the resource, the books
Sure,
you mentioned. They if they want like any question which can come. So I'll just put
sure,
your LinkedIn profile and they can reach out to you if the requirement.
sure, sure, sure.
Thank you for this. Thank you and thank you for your time. And sorry for taking
Thank
your
you,
valuable
Shreyans.
time during weekend.
No issues. Like I think it's very important for the people who are following your channel. I think they will get to know.
So,
Yeah,
thanks.
giving back to the society.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Okay.